if you believe in what it is that you are, your product, what it is that you guys are, there's no reason to shout it. You really don't. If you truly believe in your concept, that's going to shine through, and that's going to trickle down to everybody from the day one hire to the most senior coworker, to the guest, to the Centos guy, to whatever. If you truly believe in what it is that you're doing, you don't got to shout it. Just let it be, let it shine. And word of mouth. Somebody is gracious enough to work with us. I think the world of them already, and I want to do everything I can to make them succeed. If they're in school, or they're trying to have another career, that's fine. Let me help you get where you're going. Well, let's work together on those goals, because I know if I can help you out, you're going to help me out while you're here. If you want to go be an astronaut, let's get you to be an astronaut.
Hello and welcome to the Bar Business Podcast, where we help bar owners increase profits, attract loyal guests, and simplify operations so you can avoid burnout and finally enjoy your life outside of your bar. I'm your host, Chris Schneider, the Bar Business Coach. The Bar Business Podcast is brought to you by QuixSpec. And full disclosure, I'm a co-founder. We built QuixSpec to give you back your time and help you work smarter, not harder. QuixSpec connects your POS data, layers in real-world context, and gives you actionable forecasts and KPI dashboards that allow you to make data-driven decisions so you can spend less time guessing and more time on what matters. Staff smarter, order better. Stop planning for rushes that never show up or getting caught off guard by the ones that do. When you make decisions based upon real data, not guesswork, you get your time back and your team runs smoothly. Check it out at QuixSpec.com. That's QuixSpec.com. And make sure to sign up for our early access program on the homepage. Today on the Bar Business Podcast, we have a fantastic guest. Our guest today is going to tell us how he's involved running a multi-location bar in multiple cities that doesn't believe in Instagram or the internet. I'm not even sure if they have a phone number. So it's going to be really interesting to dive in here and see how maybe a lot of the stuff I've told you on this podcast isn't necessarily wrong, but there's definitely another way to do it. So with that, I want to introduce our guest. He is Ethan Brown. He is with Ernie's Boondocks, which has a location currently in Des Moines and Nashville, Tennessee, and is opening up one coming soon. So we're going to talk about all that, how they've been expanding, what's been going on. And Ethan, first of all, thank you so much for being here, because I feel like you guys have a really unique story to tell.
Well, appreciate being here, Chris. Thank you for thinking of us. I am happy to hear and share our story about the way that we are doing things. I know it's a little bit against the norm, but we found a bunch of success and doing it in an old school way. Bars existed for a long time before Instagram, and hope that continues.
Absolutely. And what's really cool to me about this is I think a lot of people have fatigue from all the marketing, from all the social media. And you guys have essentially said, we're not doing it. And we'll get into the reasoning and all that, but you've still been able to grow. So before we get into the marketing side of things and all that part of the conversation, tell us a little bit about the background. How did all this get off the ground and get started with Ernie's?
Well, originally it started in the East Village in Des Moines, Iowa, with our ownership group. Kind of just wanted to make an every human bar. The neighborhood itself is pretty inclusive.
Mhm.
Close to the state capitol. There's also a very large outdoor skate park that's there. It's a very friendly LGBTQ inclusive neighborhood. So there's kind of it's a gathering spot for all types, where all are welcome. And we kind of just wanted to have a space that reflects the neighborhood, the mentality of the city itself, and really just kind of give people a place where everyone felt welcome and could come and have a good time without worries of being looked down upon or down the nose at.
Well, and that almost in and of itself is special nowadays, right? Because I feel like so many things, particularly here in the US, right? We're being pulled in different directions. There's a lot of divisiveness. And what you're talking about goes to what I've always seen as kind of the heart of neighborhood bars, which is just a place where the people that live around can come, get together, get to know each other, and really be a community hub more than anything else.
And I love that term, community hub. It's a touch word that I like to use for the ethos of Ernie's. But once a bar lives online, it already is a known entity, right? Like, you
Mhm.
have some preconceived notions about what it is, what to expect, what I'm walking into, and the experience is set before they ever walk in the door. a better experience than explained.
So, just out of curiosity, when you first opened in Des Moines, did you start out with the idea that we're not gonna do anything online, we're not gonna have a phone number, we're gonna say all that goes away and just focus on community, or did that develop out over time?
The original plan was to not do socials. Yeah, I mean
Okay.
that should just see what this is, and by doing that, you can kind of control the expectations a little bit better. You can control the room a little bit better. Who's in it? We didn't want whatever message we're putting out there online to be the deciding factor. We wanted you to come in and experience, and then together, because we don't put ourselves out there so much, we can control the variables a lot more, and you can kind of nurture those guests as they do come in and make them feel like they're part of something.
Mhm. And if I'm not mistaken, the location in Des Moines was a gas station you guys turned into a bar, and then the second location in Nashville is under another bar that the group owns,
Right.
but was kinda designed as a basement bar. So, even though they're both Ernie's, they're kinda different in some way.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that at the core they are what they are, but is a relatively small space inside with a fireplace. It's cozy. It has a massive patio. The patio is the heartbeat of the joint. It's gather. We weather permitting, we have a Winnebago parked out there. We serve smash burgers and fries, a lot of Midwestern health food, and then the kind of the reverse in Nashville, where it's a long shotgun bar. It's really kind of, I feel like it's got like three separate entities. We're at the kind of a typical lounge area, the bar area, and then there's more games with pool tables and Toad in the Hole, which is like essentially like indoor washers. Um, but and then the patio is smaller, so it's kind of the reverse, but the vibes are the same, and really, I think that's what we're most grateful.
And I'm imagining because 'cause you're not doing the social media, right? And to your earlier point, when people come in, one of the great things is they don't have the preconceived notions of what you are doing. But that also means then when they come in, you have to, especially if you have a diverse crowd, you have to figure out how to make those folks gel and how to do that community building. So, how do you make sure when you have a space where you don't have preconceived notions that when people come in the door, they feel at home and part of that community?
I mean, I don't think you can ever put a price on quality staff, right? Like, and you do, it's really it's a testament to who works for us and works with us. It's staff, and then once they're in there, it's all vibes, right? Like
Mhm.
the lighting talks, what's on the televisions talks, the cocktails, what it is we're selling or serving gets to shine. And again, if they're walking into the place blind, that's great. Give us an opportunity to wow you. But with an attaboy, or this is the spot from the homie, I think that carries a lot of water too. That these people, they're already coming in like, if Chris thinks this place is cool, if Chris thinks this is a good time, then I respect Chris's opinion. I'm probably going to feel the same. So they go in there, wanting for us to succeed, wanting to be in on the experience.
And kinda to follow that up, because word of mouth is probably the most effective marketing there is on the planet. Do you think you get better word of mouth because you don't have the socials and things? So you're kind of like a secret, right? And people have to tell their friends about the secret.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I would think so. I don't have any facts or anything to back that
Mhm.
up. We believe in consistency over time, right? Like everybody's gonna have a bad night. Not everyone's gonna come to Ernie's and think it's the Gophers loafers, but because we don't exist there, we allow consistency to be the driving force and not an incident, right? We're going to build a culture here, and that's going to survive over time, and that's going to last, and that's going to tell who we are, and not, somebody that had a bad time in the comment section.
Sure. What's interesting to me about what you just said, you went straight to culture, right? We ask about advertising, you go straight to culture. Ask about the staff, you go straight to culture. So it seems in a lot of ways that your whole model is coming back to culture as its primary standpoint, which I think is wonderful. Tell me about the culture you have and how you guys developed it.
Well, again, I'm gonna throw as many flowers and pretty words at staff as I possibly can. Like I really think that they do all the heavy lifting, and we are in the hospitality industry, and
Mhm.
call it the service industry. Service is part of it, but we're in the hospitality industry. I enjoy going to restaurants. I enjoy going to bars. I could dinner. I stay at home, six pack. We choose to go out. We choose to interact with people, and to do that, you really need to have some people that are buying into that, and to get them to believe in what you're doing. To a lot of people, growing up my age, this was a job, this was a vessel to get you to your career or whatever that. And to me, it was always like, well, this is awesome and this is fun. And also, I'm making pretty decent money. I'm enjoying myself. How come this cannot be a career? And I do think that the younger generation really just wants to be seen and heard. And if you're willing to invest in them, to show them a path forward, to show them that there's an ability to do this for as long as you want, or your back will hold up. That this is a viable option, and I really think it starts there. So if we're starting with staff, right, and then from staff, you know, everything is so important to culture. I believe that the nothing more than music, right? Music is important. The decimal levels are important. The level of the lights is important. The way you make people feel when they come in, right? If the bar walks in and it's super bright and you're going to get a suntan, I'm not saying there's not joints that can work for, but it's not where I want to be at. So create a space we think is comfortable. It's a little slice of the Midwest. Really, again, all are welcome. We want them to be there. And then once they come in, they're like, they feel like they're in on the secret, that they are part of the secret, that they immediately take ownership of the space. And because we're dictating all these other things in little subtle ways, it's much easier to control the room. So we have the people that are in there that are already on our side, that already feel like allies, and they're going to tell similar like-minded folks, like, this is a spot you can come, this is, put your hair down and enjoy yourself.
Now, along those lines, because I want to get into vibe and staff both a little bit here. Let's start with vibe. On the vibe side, one of the things you just said is that there's a lot of little things, and I know you mentioned controlling lighting, you mentioned controlling what's on the TVs, what music is available. So, how do you do that? Do you have because if you're appealing to a wide audience, it can be hard to be wide and have a very controlled vibe at the same time.
I would agree with that, but if you're coming for the overall experience, right, we're gonna have some say in this, right? If
Mhm.
we try to make sure the ship is going in the direction we want to, but um if you can control those narratives, to the best of your ability, I think people really aren't going to have this staunch line in the sand. They're like, I don't like country music. I'm not going there. And there might be a few people that feel that way. But if the overall vibe is that, like, hey, this is a place. There's every color and creed and religion is represented here. Sexual orientation, whatever. Everybody's welcome here. If you got face piercings, or if you're in a three-piece suit, whatever, come as you are.
Mhm.
I think that will overtake any kind of nitpicky stuff that people might have about what the space is, and because they feel part of it. And I, I know that there are times that I've worked at joints, and the playlist got a little monotonous, right? You got out hearing the same things. Um, there's a reason to it, and I truly believe that, while not being dogmatic, or completely stubborn and digging our heels in, I think if the place is light and the people are having fun, that really is contagious, and that's what will spill out into guests, be they their first visit or their 100th visit.
Yeah, and I think there's something really magical about bars that are able to pull that off, where everyone feels welcome because you to your point, you get rid past a lot of these barriers. They just don't exist. They go away. Because when everybody feels like, "Hey, I can come in, it's a cool place, I can hang out with people," they don't necessarily worry about the details that don't agree with them. They also are probably not noticing all the attention you're paying to all the things like decibel level and how bright the lights are, but they don't need to, right? They just need to feel comfortable.
That's it. I don't want them to. I want them to just feel, or like, this the way it should be. If we're doing our jobs correctly, none of this stuff really even like is a blip on their radar. Like, right, they're concentrating on enjoying themselves, talking to the person next to them, talking to their friend, figuring out who's got the next pool game, whatever it might be. That they're more wrapped up in the experience than Randy Travis is playing.
Mhm. 100%. And so now looking at the staff a little bit, because you've said multiple times, one of my big reasons for being successful is we have the right people. But how do you find them, right? Because everybody, it seems like everybody is having staffing issues today.
You talk to all of them, honestly, is what you do. If somebody has done the time to apply for a job, I don't care how half-assed the application is filled out. You never know somebody's experience until you get them in front of 'em. And I will tell you, I don't know how many Ernie's employees will watch this, uh, but majority of Ernie's employees are personality hires,
Mhm.
right? Might have worked at a Chili's in college or whatever, but a lot of them have minimal bartending service experience. And that's where I really feel like, proper training and finding the right people and then you invest into them into the hospitality aspect of it. So finding people that want to do it, that's the most important thing. Finding people that can do it, that's easy. Finding people that want to do it involves talking, a lot of interviewing. Like, I mean, when we do a joint, I'm usually the one nowadays with our that goes and does all the interviews. I'll talk to everybody and we'll have the conversation. I'll try to sell myself to you, and then you sell yourself to me. And based on that, and if I've got a good feeling about it, might have one or two other people in the company give you another glance over. But really, it's finding people that believe in what you're trying to do and understanding that sure, this is a paycheck. It's important. All of this is important. We're doing this as a job. We all want to get paid for it, but find people that can see the bigger picture and understand that, like, there's really an opportunity for us to build something here and be successful and have fun doing it, which is kind of why we do this thing. Uh, it really is the most important. So a short answer, long. You got to talk to everybody.
We've talked a few times. I feel like we are kind of similar, both Midwest, both kind of on that neighborhood dive bar side of things. And I'm very much like you. I'm all about vibe and hiring people and talking to them and feeling them out a little bit. In that process, though, is there anything in particular you look for? Like, are there any signals that you have gotten in the habit of saying, oh, yeah, that's a huge green flag, or oh, no, that's a huge red flag?
I mean, I don't want to take it back to work experience, but if you worked in a coffee shop or an ice cream parlor, I know you know how to clean. That's probably the hardest thing people these days is properly, you know, a couple gold stars next to your. But really, no. I'm for people that are comfortable. Is speaking to other folks that, like, really we're such a guest facing business that, like, your ability to communicate with other people and do it in a way that is either comforting, silly, or disarming to other folks, that allows them to, like, come in and feel natural. I'm so grateful that the day of the mean bartender or the angry chef are behind us to most extent. That was a time, and I'm grateful that we're in this place that people really realize that, like, times are tough, dollars are short. People have, maybe the last real power you have in this world right now is how and where you spend your money. So it's important that the people you find really kind of get that as an understanding, as a baseline for where we're starting with. That, hey, these folks, especially in a state like Nashville, where there's a million things going on every
Mhm.
7 days a week. I mean, there's very few other markets that are even close to Nashville, let alone. It's so. I think being nice and being professional and enjoying what we do and understanding how lucky we are to have such a silly job. And I mean that with all the respect. It's what I've done my whole entire life. But good grief, we're putting liquid in cups, like, let's let's have a frame of reference. Let's enjoy ourselves and let's let the.
Yeah, it is kind of a silly job when you put it that way, but it is wonderful because it lets us have a lot of fun with it. Now, one thing I wanted to ask, because a lot of people they have a bar, they're doing well, and then they say, I want to expand. They normally go down the street. You guys went multiple states away, and that for a lot of folks would be really scary. And just from me, from a management consulting perspective, I'm going, well, that's really hard to manage across multiple state lines. So why start in Des Moines and then say, okay, the next bar we're going to open for this concept is Nashville?
Well, I would say that our flagship bar is Up Down,
Hmm.
which concept, which is it's an adult arcade. We have we have 9 locations in 8 states, um, and I think that allowed us and we use the heck out of social media for that one to
Hmm.
get that out there as well. Uh, uh, think with that, we learned how to grow sustainably and correctly, and we really grow our people and get them, that we spend years together. We spend all the time in the world with these folks, trying to invest in them and making sure they understand, you know, who we are, what it is we're trying to do, and then allow them to go out into the world and spread the love. With Ernie's though, I think it was the second location, if I'm being completely honest with you, I think it was we had a space, we thought, this it's probably pretty hard to replicate, but why not try and fail beautifully than, sit here and just fill this with extra cases of Lone Star and Jameson.
Right. And you tried it, and obviously you didn't fail because you're working on number 3 now for Ernie's. So what and we can look it up down for this question as well, but as you've expanded, what have you found has been key to making sure that you can manage a place from, states away?
Well, there's another gentleman, if who we work together. Technically my boss. I would always consider him my boss. I've worked for him for a very long time. Named Joey Akers, who is just a wealth of information and understanding of the human condition, and really just somebody that I super admire and look to for leadership. But between the two of us, it's constant. Checking in. It's calls with upper management. It's text threads, it's email chains, it's making sure people feel supported and heard. And then it's getting down there and spending time with them. My son is in grad school now. Joey has a couple young ones, so it's a little easier for me to go and stay longer stints. Though he's on the road too quite a bit. But it's going down there and investing in these people and making sure that, they know that they're part of all of this, and that, what's going on there is every bit as important as what's going on in any other location. So I really think that as long as you're continuing to interact with your staff and with your coworkers, that you know and then they feel empowered too, that they're kind of here this thing, and then they take ownership in this space, until they learn to love it, which is something you can't teach. I just tell them to, treat it like it's your grandma's, whoever it is you love and respect. Like, let's just give some respect to the space, and there's a space will respect you back. And then once they got that, then it's just working with people and making sure that they have the tools that they need to be successful. And then when I do get to go down there, sure, we're going to fix a couple of things, we're going to address some issues, but it can be Uncle Good Times too. We can talk about stuff, couple adult beverages, and share a nice meal, and really figure out, what we're doing right, how we double down on that, and what we need to fix. I really think that has been the one concept, that if we continue to reach out to them and continue to make sure that they have the tools, that it kind of self governs a little bit.
Absolutely, and it makes me think of something that I've talked about on this podcast before, which is kind of as an owner or high level management, depending on your structure, it's not necessarily your team work for you. You end up working for your team.
Absolutely. No, I try to say coworkers more than I never try to say employees. We're coworkers. We're together. And most of the time I do feel like, what can I do for you? Because you already know what my expectations are. And it's easy for me to check and see if these are being met. What are your expectations for me? No, I couldn't agree with that more.
Well, and it's so sad. I know you guys don't do this, but it's so sad when you walk into some of these bars and you see some of these bar owners and folks that like treat their bartenders poorly because they're like, oh, she's just some dumb 23-year-old girl. Well, that dumb 23-year-old girl is in charge of tens of thousands of dollars of your supplies in cash, right? You can't treat her like she's an idiot.
Nor should you. I mean, like if there's some sort of disconnect, let's connect it. Let's figure out what's going on. But like if somebody is gracious enough to work with us, I think the world of them already, and I want to do everything I can to make them succeed. If they're in school or they're trying to have another career, that's fine. Let me help you get where you're going. Let's work together on those goals, because I know if I can help you out, you're going to help me out while you're here. What I can't stand is losing somebody else to another bar or restaurant. They're not.
Mhm.
If you want to go be an astronaut, let's get you to be an astronaut. If you want to go work, the new joint down the street, then that's a failure on my part.
Yeah. And that's a way that I wish more people in this industry saw it, because I feel like too often we know turnover is high in the industry, and so we just accept it rather than try to actually fix it.
No, I think that a little bit of turnover is healthy for joints, but it should be at entry level positions, right? If you're losing upper level management or senior bartenders or people that have been with you for a long time, what happened there? Did I not challenge you enough? Did I not give you enough responsibility? Was I not giving you enough of my time or my energy or whatever it might be? But yeah, I do think that turnover is healthy in small doses. You can retention and knowing people and working together, I really think is one of the most beautiful rewards from this work, because nobody loves service industry folk or hospitality industry folk more than myself.
And that's a great way to be when you're managing a bunch of places. We're almost running out of time, but I got a couple more questions I want to sneak in here before we run out. First one is looking at, so with Ernie's, right? We got no marketing, no Instagram, no telephone, like low tech as can be on kind of the customer facing end. I'm assuming that's not also true though for the back office end.
I mean, we're like probably everybody nowadays, and we're just in bed with toast, and
Mhm.
especially with multiple locations and stuff and the P mixes I mean, their back end is pretty robust. No, no, we you can run a credit card at Ernie's, so it's not total old school, but no, we definitely aren't completely unaware of the and, and use modern tracking and inventory policies and procedures.
But I'm assuming that still though, on the guest facing side, you're not. So you're taking the efficiency in the back office and making sure the business runs properly, but then freeing up the front to be totally guest focused.
Exactly right. That's it. Chris, if you ever need another gig, man, would love to get you out here promoting for us.
Well, I just think it's so cool to me because in a lot of ways you're doing what I feel like everybody wants to do, but is just terrified to do.
I mean, look, we're lucky because I think we wear a couple different hats, um, and we get to do this one, and people have been receptive to it. So yeah, I am grateful for it as well. It does make harder. A lot of people use social. It is a little bit harder to reach folks for
Mhm.
jobs when things happen and you do have turnover. We do rely a lot on current staff or ex-employees or whatever it might be, or guests. A lot of times guests become, you know, workers, which is, but there are, it doesn't come with, when you shun the conveniences that marketing and socials bring to you, you also have to bear the brunt of the drawbacks from it too. Um, we think it's fun. We think it's cool. Like I said, bars existed a long time before Instagram. So, there's a way to do this, but it really does require a lot of buy-in from the head of the fish down to the tail.
I'm sure it does. Now, because we are almost out of time, last thing I'm going to ask you, if you were, well, you are, but if you were talking to somebody who is a bar owner in the middle of America, because that's basically everything you guys are doing is more or less middle of the country. What is one thing you would tell them? What is the one piece of advice you think everybody should know?
I think if you believe in what it is that your product, what it is that you guys are, there's no reason to shout it. You really don't. If you truly believe in your concept, that's going to shine through, and that's going to trickle down to everybody from the day one hire to the most senior coworker to the guest to the Centos guy to whatever. If you truly believe in what it is that you're doing, you don't got to shout it. Just let it be. Let it shine. And word of mouth.
That is awesome advice. So with that, Ethan, before I let you go, tell everybody, because I'm sure some people, well, there is no way to get a hold of Ernie's online. I was about to say, tell us how to get in touch with you. I don't know if they can, but if somebody does want to learn more, what are some ways they could find out more about what you guys are and what you're doing?
Absolutely. Internally is the best way. Obviously, we've been lucky enough to work with some influencers who will come through and they've liked the place. You will see us tagged and stuff, even though that tag won't necessarily go anywhere besides already other user generated content. If you want to reach out to me personally, I can leave an email or contact information. But really, there's a lot of FOMO involved with Ernie. So you got to come visit, come see it for yourself.
Well, this is a first on this podcast, right? Normally, I'm like, we'll put all the links down below. Well, no, there's nothing. You know what you need to do? You need to go to Des Moines. You need to go to Nashville. You need to go to the bar and have a drink. That's the only answer here, isn't it?
It, and that, it sounds weird coming out of my mouth, but that's how we're playing poker currently.
Well, if you want to learn more about Ernie's, go to Nashville. That's the answer. There is no link for me to share. So with that, Ethan, thank you so much for being here. This has been a great conversation. I really appreciate your time and sharing all these insights because I think you are hitting on a lot of the pieces that sometimes get drowned out by how much we talk about marketing and tech and numbers, and really have told a fantastic story about people and community and culture that I hope people listen to this and it resonates with them.
As do I. I really appreciate you having me, Chris. It was real nice talking with you, brother.
That about wraps it up for today. If you enjoyed today's insights, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a review. If you are ready to take your bar to the next level, schedule a strategy session with me by clicking the link in the show notes below. Until next time, have a great day, and we will talk again later.